Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Thursday, October 1st, 2015. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change, joined always on Thursdays by Steve Wiltfong, Director of Recruiting for 24/7 Sports. Steve, how are you this fine Midwest gray morning?
Good morning, Daniel. It's getting colder and colder, man. It's getting crispy here.
Yeah, I think last night was our first frosty night as I look out the window here in the Gem City. I'm not going to say I'm looking forward to the next X months of weather, but learn to deal. All right, man, we're going to talk recruiting as we always do with Steve, and we got a very cool topic to talk about at the end because Steve has been granted some unbelievable access that we're going to share. But first, there's been some very interesting crystal ball activity. You have made a flip of You have picked Rashan Gary to go to Michigan. Highly coveted, probably the number one player in the country, at least he is by 24/7 Sports. Most services. Give us a quick skinny on that.
Well, I thought Auburn was the team to beat going into the visit. Thought Auburn was the team to beat for a while. I actually thought Michigan was like third or fourth because I thought LSU and Georgia were in a good spot, and even Clemson. I was getting a lot of feedback that Rashawn's going to go south for school, and those were the teams to beat. And Michigan was certainly in it, and took his first official visit to Michigan last weekend with his mom, and talked to his mom after the visit, and I get the sense that everything has changed, and Michigan did a really good job of not only showing Rashan, or continuing to show Rashan the love and attention, and that staff's going to take care of him in Ann Arbor, but also that a Michigan degree is national, and that it's, Michigan alum are living all over the country, and they're very relevant, and they portrayed in the same light that some of those degrees, or at least that was the perception that the Rashan Gary camp had, that some of those degrees from the South would only be relevant in the South, but still a long way to go, and recruiting ebbs and flows, as we all know, and yeah, I think Michigan's in the driver's seat right now, but we'll see how it goes moving forward. It would be a great get for the Big Ten if they could pull in Rashan Gary, the number one player in the country.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they think when Harbaugh's coaching the Indianapolis Colts next year. Another interesting flip recently, Alex Gleitman, popped one in for Binjimin Victor to the Ohio State Buckeyes, the standout receiver from Coconut Creek in Florida. And he did this largely because he feels like, and I think a lot of people do, Ohio State is going to add another big-time receiver. And their two major ones they're in the mix for are Victor and Donnie Corley out of Detroit. You had a chance to speak to the Corley camp recently. Give us the latest on Donnie Corley. I was interested to see that Notre Dame might be in the mix. He says Notre Dame, Michigan State, and Ohio State are relatively tied. What's your vibe after getting in depth on it?
Well, I did get to spend a lot of time with Donnie Corley at his school. 2 days ago, I was up there for his U.S. Army All-America Bowl jersey presentation. Donnie was wearing an Ohio State Buckeyes hoodie. I'm not ruling Ohio State out for Donnie Corley. I know I've been saying that since the summer, and that doesn't mean I'm picking Ohio State, but I'm still not ruling them out. I think that he really likes the Buckeyes. Ohio State has led for him at times. If you read my article from Tuesday, he acknowledged that and this happens for a lot of kids, so it's nothing new other than just interesting to hear him actually confirm that Ohio State has been his leader before. Michigan State obviously has led before, and Notre Dame led long ago for him at one point also. But he's going to get back, and he said, that Ohio State official will even come after the season, so it sounds like the Buckeyes could get a late visit before he decides and enrolls early. And he's got friends on the Ohio State roster that tell him he loves it there, that they love it there. And, Coach Combs obviously does a terrific job recruiting in Detroit, and Zach Smith is very engaged with all the receiver targets. And then Donnie talked to Urban Meyer recently. So Ohio State's certainly not just letting this kid go to Michigan State. Now, I think Michigan State's in a really good position. Notre Dame, I think that the idea of Notre Dame is more attractive than the actual school, if that makes sense. I think Notre Dame's running third of that group. Maybe I'm underselling them, perhaps, and I do think that he genuinely likes Notre Dame, but I just think he's more connected with Michigan State and Ohio State. So that's why I like those two schools for Donnie better. And Ohio State, I think, would certainly take Binjimin Victor and Donnie Corley. So one doesn't tie into the other for me. I do think that Ohio State's always been in a great spot for both of them, and it seems like right now there's a lot of buzz and smoke around Ohio State and Binjimin Victor. But we'll see how the visits go, and kind of similar to Gary, just because the poll says something today doesn't mean it'll say something tomorrow, or say the same thing.
No doubt.
Tomorrow.
No doubt. I love the idea of adding both from a talent perspective, or either one from a talent perspective, also because pulling Victor out of Florida and Corley out of Detroit is just another recruiting coup for Ohio State, and so that could be really appealing. Speaking of recruiting, go ahead.
Both are just, really talented. I mean, Binjimin Victor's got the best ball skills in the country, a guy that really knows how to play the position. And Donnie Corley's so smooth, great route runner, strong hands, very hard worker. And then I think this going into your next topic, I'll get a chance to talk about my love for Austin Mack.
Let's do that. We've got three. Steve and I were talking off the air, mostly about how I think he should keep his son back to improve his athletic future. Yes, the kid's not 2 yet. We also discussed the current recruiting class Ohio State has, and 3 guys that you kind of caught your eye that you wanted to shine some light on, including Indiana native Austin Mack.
Yeah, we will be holding Dylan Wiltfong back a year,
nice.
So he can be a year older, and his mommy's got some elite athletic genes. Well, the Ohio State Buckeyes, people should be excited about this elite class, ranked number 1 in America, number 1 in the Big Ten. So many difference makers I could pinpoint, but just guys that I think will make an early impact and be fixtures within the offense for a long time. Austin Mack is truly dynamic. I think that when you talk to folks inside the Woody, they think that they truly landed one of the best receivers in the country. 24/7 Sports ranks him as the number 10 receiver in the country. I think the Ohio State staff would rank him in the top 2 or 3. So they're really, really high on this young man, and he's having a terrific senior year, scoring in all kinds of different ways. So very dynamic. I think that Luke Farrell is a guy that I really like a lot, the number 4 tight end in the country according to 24/7 Sports Composite. I think he's going to be instant impact at Ohio State. He's a complete player at the position, can block, can be a fixture in the pass game, can even stretch the field a little bit, a big kid, and he's super smart. So he'll be able to pick up that offense really quickly. And Malik Barrow is another guy that was having a terrific senior season, a guy that we moved into our top 100, the nation's number 13 defensive tackle, a guy that wasn't getting much of the buzz going into the season when you talk about Ohio State's D-line recruiting, when you look at Nick Bosa and Jonathan Cooper, who are obviously both 5-star, obviously elite targets, but you package those guys in with Malik Barrow, and it's a very exciting defensive line class. Demario McCall is my guy. He's just very infectious, just great positive attitude, just loves playing the game. I just think that there's so many dynamic guys on Ohio State's roster, but he's another one that I think you'll have to find a way to get into the rotation somehow with just his ability to kill teams horizontally and vertically.
You also had a really cool experience. For those who don't know about the access people can get these days, not always easy. You had a sit-down with Ohio native Mark Dantonio of Michigan State recently, and I'm sure he talks plenty of green and white, which will fall on deaf ears here, but very interesting. Dantonio, we were talking about this, gave a lot of credit to someone, and rightfully so, that Ohio State Buckeyes hold dear to their heart.
Well, I got a chance to visit Michigan State yesterday and get an exclusive with head coach Mark Dantonio, who's really just an awesome guy, very normal guy. That whole staff's full of normal guys, and I think that's why they've been so successful. And I think Coach gives a lot of credit to guys he's worked for and where he's come from, and then also guys he's worked with. But 2 guys that he had a lot of good things to say about were obviously Nick Saban and Jim Tressel. Those were guys that he has taken things from and applied it to his own regime, as Michigan State certainly has a great reputation for being great evaluators of talent and then great developers of talent. And the evaluating comes from things he picked up from Nick Saban, and then the development. A lot of credit goes to things he picked up from Jim Tressel. Mark Dantonio talked about how when he worked for Jim Tressel, they really built into the player, and they succeeded because they got the players to believe in them, and they really believed in the players, and that energy and chemistry was so huge and was the difference in being, and these weren't his words now, but that was the difference in being a 10-2 football team or a 12-0 football team, is just the trust that the players had within the program, with each other, and with the coaching staff. And you see coaches talk about that all the time, but to actually live it and duplicate it and do it at that high degree, and that Ohio State did it back when they won the national championship. And then you walk around in East Lansing and you feel it. You know the players and the coaches get along real well, and they trust each other, and that's why there's been so much success. And I think that Mark Dantonio feels that that's how it was when he was at Ohio State, and he's happy that he's been able to carry that over to his own program.
Steve, we appreciate you touching on a variety of subjects like only you can.
Guys, enjoy the travels to Bloomington, Indiana. It's a beautiful city with great bars on Kirkwood.
There you go. You heard it from the source.